Good evening, friends, my fellow speakers, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if I will be able to meet your expectations of Eureka moments, but I would hope that some of you will find it in what I'm going to say in the next few minutes. Raksha, I hope I can also speak as well as you did, because I'm not a speaker. I have never prepared a speech in my life, nor have I written one. So what I will go to say is something that comes to my mind, to my heart. I hope it makes sense to you. A few days back, I just finished a book which is called The Emperor of All Maladies, written by Siddharth Mukherjee. It is a biography of cancer, and before I go further, I would suggest all of you read it. It's a wonderful book, very, very huge volume, but very simply written for the layman. Cancer is going to touch each one of us, each one of you, each one of us, wherever you are in the world, directly or indirectly, in the next few years. Not very far. WHO predicts that in the year 2020, it will be the largest killer in the world, even overtaking the combined deaths of malaria, HIV, diarrhea, or whatever. Can any of you believe this? Maybe some of you have been touched by cancer. So this is something which one has to think and keep in mind. It was in the year 2003 that I was in Bombay in a wedding, enjoying myself, partying, and in the evening we retired for the day. All was well, but when I got up, I realized I had a little bit of a nagging pain in my back and a slight fever. So like any of us would do, I took some painkillers, fever medicine, and decided that I'll take a rest for today. And anyway, I was to come back home in the evening, like we were to leave in the evening. So that passed. That night in Ahmedabad, I was feeling well throughout the day after taking the medicine, so I didn't give it a very serious thought. But that evening, or rather that night, again I felt the same pain and the same kind of fever coming back to me. I just told myself I'll go and see the doctor tomorrow morning, because this is not something that should happen. You know, normally I was 59 then, and I would hardly fallen sick, even fever, till that day. Believe me. Maybe sometime, once in a while when I was young. But the next day when I went to the doctor realized that there was something serious, because I would not go to him. In the last 30 years that he knew me, he knew that I would not go to him for a small thing like a fever or a backache. But anyway, he told me to do a small test, blood test for my counts. I did that. In the evening, the driver brought the report to me, and there it was staring right at me in bold letters, suspected leukemia. Oh my God. What does one do? How does one react to this kind of a statement when one reads, especially for one's own self. The usual, why me? What have I done? I have never hurt anyone. Why should this kind of thing happen to me? But then, of course, I took hold of myself, not knowing how to tell my family. But let me tell you, friends, when God gives you pain, He also gives you strength. So, that was that. The next day, doctors, oncologists, hematologists, Veds, godmen, all were consulted. And looking at my age, my doctor was not very sure whether I should go through the harsh treatment and whether I would respond to it at this age. And when I asked him, honestly, what were my chances, he said 40-60. So even my family was not sure what should be done. But I told him, look, doctor, a malady has come to me, I will face it. You go ahead, do your job. Whatever it takes, my body will respond, I will make it respond to whatever medicine or whatever treatment you decide. Because let me tell you, my friends, medicine alone cannot cure cancer. To cure cancer, to fight cancer, you need mental and physical immunity, which only you can build. I repeat, which only you can build. Nobody else can do it for you. Not even your loved ones, not even your doctors, nobody. So my fight began. I'll cut the story very short. It took 1 year, 12 months and 29 hospitalizations to go through the chemos, and at the end of the year, at the end of 12 months, my doctor said, well, for the time being, inverted, you are cured. There's nothing more we can do. There's nothing more you can do. I said, no, I can do. I have been telling myself, this is not the end. I'm going to fight it and I'm going to see that I live. But during this period, something else happened. God visited me several times. Several times I visited Him. Maybe more times I visited Him. And every time something echoed in my mind saying, this is not the end. You must survive. This is not the end. And so I went through this, and let me tell you, my friends, something else happened during this time when I was in the hospital. My wife, my children, my dear ones, all would always be next to me in the room, turn by turn, because not too many people were allowed in the room all the time. And except for my wife, who used to be there 24 hours. And every day in the evening, she would say, Ushakant, both our children are there next to you. If you don't mind, I'll take a small walk, get some fresh air and come back in half an hour. I would say, yes, fine, please go. And every time she would come back with horror stories. Because this would be in the evening when the hospital is nearly closed. But there would be queues on the footpath. People sleeping on the footpath, having come from Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, far off in Gujarat and many other places. waiting for the next day's OPD. Some of them as poor as having nothing on themselves. Some of them not even having any money or any other friends to support them. And she would say, aren't we really lucky that we are in an air-conditioned room while all these people are there all the time waiting for the doctor, not knowing what is going to happen tomorrow, having nobody to take care of them. And believe me, my friends, if you can take out time, go to the cancer hospital in Ahmedabad and see this scene every evening. There are every day, at that time there were 450 patients every day for the OPD waiting for the doctor to see them. Today I am told there are nearly 600. So that also should give you an idea of how fast this malady is growing. It was then that I decided, and then it was then that my wife also encouraged me, saying, can't we do something about this? And I said, look, the only thing we can do about this is if God gives me a second life, which I'm sure He is going to give me, I'm very confident, we can do something to help them. And that is what we are going to do. It was decided that I'm not going to continue with my business, I'm not going to continue with any of my social activities, but only do something to help these cancer patients. To conclude, after a 12 months treatment, I was well enough, getting better, and in 20 days, I wound up all my business. I told all my staff, explained to them that, look, this is what I'm going to do and there's no money there. So I gave them all their dues and said, well, this is it. There's no business from tomorrow, except whatever commitments are there. My manager, I requested him that you please finish them, and that's it. In 20 days' time, I closed that and I started working for the cancer patients down the road. I named it Karuna Care Foundation. And today, we have a large number of volunteers on our roll. It is a totally voluntary organization. We have only one employee, a lady, to take care of the office. Our overheads are not like other organizations working in similar field. We work with an overhead of only 3% of whatever money that we get. But more than that, what I want to tell you is that I'm very glad that I took this decision, because we are the only organization in Gujarat which is doing this kind of work. In Bombay, there have been, the hospital has been there, Tata Hospital, for 50 years now, and there are more than 50 organizations helping patients besides, there. But in Gujarat, we are the only one, and I'm happy. Probably that was my eureka moment. Thank you.
That was